Episode 20.
Episode 20.
We started the show talking about real life, teacher confessions, Sam Shepard, and a bushy-haired intruder. We took a detour through fake spies, Christmas Eve fires, serial killers, a clown, a Candyman, a beach in Australia, and one very chaotic Hot Takes episode.
And now we're here. 20 episodes, which feels significant.
It feels significant. Thank you to everyone who has been with us from the beginning. And to anyone who just found us, welcome. You picked an interesting episode to start on.
Because episode 20 is the one where 9 experienced hikers set up camp on a mountain in Soviet Russia in 1959. Something happened in the night. They cut their way out of their own tent and ran into -30-degree temperatures in their underwear.
And nobody has ever fully explained why.
Nobody, ever. Welcome to HILLarious Media. I'm Dylan.
I'm Cindy. The Dyatlov Pass Incident. Let's go.
January 1959. A group of 10 hikers sets out from the city of Sverdlovsk, now Yekaterinburg, in the Soviet Union. They are students and graduates of the Ural Polytechnical Institute. Experienced, fit, well-prepared. This is not a group of amateurs.
Who was leading them?
Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old, engineering student. By all accounts, an exceptional hiker and group leader, the kind of person other hikers trusted completely. The group is named after him because he organized the expedition, which, in retrospect, is a very heavy thing to have your name on.
The other members.
Zinaida Kolmogorova, 22. Rustem Slobodin, 23. Yuri Doroshenko, 21. Georgy Krivonishenko, 23. Alexander Kolovatov, 24. Nicholas Thibaut Briganyel, 23. Alexander Zolotaryev, the oldest at 38, a war veteran who joined the group late, and Ludmila Dubinina, 20, the only woman on the trip.
9 people, all young, all experienced.
All experienced. One member, Yuri Yudin, turned back early due to illness. He was the only one who came home. He spent the rest of his life, he died in 2013, saying goodbye to his friends every day for 54 years.
That is an extraordinary thing to carry.
Yuri Yudin said in interviews that he felt guilty his whole life for surviving. He kept the memories of those 9 people alive until his own death. I think that matters.
The group was expected to send a telegram when they reached their destination. No telegram arrived. By early February, families were alarmed. Rescuers were sent.
And on February 26, 1959, rescuers found the camp on the slope of Holatsiako, which in the local Manzi language means dead mountain.
Dead mountain. Of course it's called Dead Mountain.
Of course. The tent was partially buried in snow and had been cut open from the inside. Not unzipped, cut with a knife from the interior. All 9 hikers' belongings were still inside. Shoes, warm clothing, food, everything they needed to survive was in that tent.
And they left without it.
They left without it, in the middle of the night, in -30 degrees Celsius, in their underwear and socks. Some had one shoe, some had no shoes at all, and they ran or walked or stumbled down the slope away from the tent.
Why would 9 experienced hikers do that?
That is the question that has never been answered. Rescuers found the first 2 bodies, Doroshenko and Krivonishenko, near the remains of a fire at the tree line, about a mile from the tent. They were in their underwear. The fire was small. They had broken branches from the tree above. Some investigators think they climbed the tree, possibly looking for something or trying to get a vantage point.
Or running from something.
3 more bodies, Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin, were found between the fire and the tent, as if they had been trying to return. Slobodin had a small crack in his skull, but it was not considered fatal. They appeared to have died of hypothermia.
And the other 4?
The other 4 were not found until May when the snow melted. They were in a ravine, under 4 meters of snow. And this is where it stops being explainable by hypothermia and becomes something else entirely.
What did they find?
Nicholas Thibaut Briganyel had massive skull fractures, the kind of force that would be consistent with a car crash, not a fall. Alexander Zolotarev and Ludmila Dubinina had severe chest fractures, multiple broken ribs, the kind of internal damage caused by extreme pressure. No external wounds on either of them. The medical examiner described it as similar to the force of a shock wave.
Internal injuries with no external wounds.
None. no bruising on the skin consistent with a blow. And then, Ludmila Dubinina was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips.
I need a moment.
Take your moment.
Missing her tongue.
Missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. The initial explanation was that soft tissue decomposed or was eaten by animals while the body was submerged in the stream in the ravine. Some forensic experts have accepted this. Others have not. They argue the pattern of tissue loss is inconsistent with animal scavenging or decomposition.
And there was something about the clothing?
Several of the hikers' clothing tested positive for radioactivity, moderate levels, not immediately dangerous, but present. The Soviet investigators noted it, and then the file was classified.
They classified the file.
For decades. The Soviet government closed the investigation in 1959, cited a compelling unknown natural force, and sealed the records. The full files were not made available until the 1990s after the Soviet Union collapsed.
Okay, theories. Give me all of them.
All of them, in order of scientific credibility, starting with the most plausible.
Let's go.
Theory 1, avalanche. The most widely accepted explanation and the one the Russian government officially endorsed when they reopened the investigation in 2019. The hikers heard or sensed an avalanche coming, cut their way out of the tent to escape, fled down the slope, and died of hypothermia and injuries sustained in the snow.
Problems with the avalanche theory?
Several. The slope angle is considered by many experts too shallow for a spontaneous avalanche. There was no avalanche debris found at the scene. The tent was damaged but still largely standing. An avalanche would have flattened it. And the internal injuries are very hard to explain by an avalanche of the size the slope could produce.
So plausible, but not airtight.
Not airtight. Theory 2, infrasound. The idea that wind conditions in the Urals can create low-frequency sound waves that induce panic, hallucination, and a sense of impending doom in humans. There's actual science behind infrasound as a phenomenon. The theory is that the hikers were essentially driven mad by sound they couldn't consciously hear and fled the tent in a panic.
That is both terrifying and extremely plausible.
It's a serious theory taken seriously by researchers. Theory 3, military testing. The radioactivity on the clothing, the classified files, the location near Soviet military test sites. Some investigators believe the hikers stumbled into a military exercise or weapons test and were killed by a shock wave or pressure wave from an explosion. Then the incident was covered up.
Which would explain the internal injuries with no external wounds.
Exactly. A pressure wave from an explosion can cause exactly that pattern of injury. And the Soviet government's response, classify it, close it, never fully explain it, is consistent with a cover-up.
It's also consistent with Soviet bureaucracy, to be fair.
Also consistent with Soviet bureaucracy. Theory 4, the Mansi people. The indigenous people of the region were initially suspected. The mountain had spiritual significance to them, and there were theories about conflict. This was investigated and essentially dismissed. There is no evidence of any Mansi involvement.
And then,
Theory 5.
aliens.
Aliens. There were reports of glowing orbs seen in the sky over the Urals in the weeks around the incident. Some of the hikers' own photographs, recovered from cameras found at the scene, show strange lights in the sky on the night before the incident. The missing eyes, tongue, and lips, the radiation, the unexplained injuries. The alien theory has been around since 1959 and shows no signs of going away.
I'm not saying it was aliens.
You're not saying it was aliens.
But the fact that 65 years later, the best official answer is a compelling natural force does leave a certain amount of room for speculation.
It leaves a Dyatlov Pass-sized hole in our understanding of what happened on that mountain.
That's the name of my new band.
What do you think happened?
Honestly, I think it was probably a combination of things. Some kind of sudden environmental event, whether that's an unusual snow slab, infrasound, or a military pressure wave, that caused panic. The hikers made rational decisions in irrational circumstances. They cut their way out because something made them feel the tent was dangerous. They ran because something was terrifying them. And then the cold finished what the initial event started.
The injury pattern on the 4 in the ravine is what I can't move past. Internal injuries that severe with no external wounds and people who were found buried in snow? That doesn't feel like hypothermia, and it doesn't feel like an avalanche.
Military testing is the theory that makes the most physical sense for those injuries.
Me too. And the Soviet government's classification of the files is suggestive. Governments don't classify avalanche investigations.
They do not, but we will probably never know for certain. And I think that's what makes this case singular. Most cold cases have a most likely answer even if it can't be proven. This one genuinely doesn't. The most likely answers all have serious holes in them.
9 people walked onto a mountain and something happened. That's all we know for sure.
Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin, Yuri Doroshenko, Georgy Krivonichenko, Alexander Kolovatov, Nicholas Thibault Benmal, Alexander Zolotarov, Ludmila Dubinina, 9 people. We say their names.
And Yuri Yudin, who came home and spent 54 years saying goodbye.
We say his name too.
20 episodes of HILLarious Media. Thank you for being here, every single one of you.
We are not done, not even close. Subscribe, leave a review, send us your case suggestions and your hot takes. We read everything.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Cindy.
Don't go hiking in the Urals.
Just as a general life tip.
Just a tip. Goodbye.